some more?
Yeah, awesome.
Hello, Priya.
Hey,
I'm good. I'm good. Good to see you.
It's
Ben.
good to see you. How are you?
Good
To see you.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, we're really wanting to hear your story about how you're managing and dealing with your diabetes. So this would be a
Great.
good thing to hear what's going on with
I'm
you.
glad to share my experience with diabetes, especially if it can help somebody else.
What was your reaction when you found out you had diabetes?
My reaction when I found out I had prediabetes, I was fortunate enough to get to the doctor before it became full-blown, was shock and a little depression and overwhelmed, and I was emotional, but I was determined to head off full-blown diabetes and just thought it was a matter of me and my willpower doing what I needed to do to keep it from becoming full-blown. In my case, that was not what happened, but you can, in certain cases, head off full-blown diabetes with lifestyle change and eating habits and resting, and there's a lot of ways. If you get there to the doctor early enough and get good nutrition advice, you can head it off. But
So what changes did you make in your lifestyle? I mean,
well, I had to become educated about the disease that I was dealing with, diabetes. I'd heard, the horror stories where people go blind or lose a limb or things like that. And my ignorance and not being educated about diabetes is where I started first. And so I read everything that I could. I asked a lot of questions. In my case, I did not want to go on insulin. I was trying every way in the world to not go on insulin, and I eventually had to, but that was not a bad thing. In the long run, it became something that brought me back to health and wellness. So learning to eat, what kind of foods to eat, learning that what I was eating was wrong. Pasta, I was loading up on a lot of empty carbohydrates. I learned that carbohydrates were not negative, that they were positive within reason. I learned how many carbohydrates I could eat in a day. I became a label reader. Every food, when I go to the grocery store, I don't get processed food. I get as much fresh food and vegetables as I can. I exercise, at least 3 to 4 times a week. I walk long distances, learned that that's how the muscles in our body, that's how they process the excess sugar. And if you're not getting exercise, that body is reabsorbing that, our bodies are reabsorbing that sugar. So I had to educate myself. I'd say that's the most important thing that I did.
What do you tell individuals who have prediabetes?
In this country, it seems that diabetes is becoming an epidemic. And early death can happen if you don't know you've got diabetes. So I always tell people who might think that they've got diabetes or talk about having a dry mouth or sweating, you might want to go to doihaveprediabetes.org and take that test and see. And if you do, go to your doctor. I have learned that having this disease can be empowering and that it can teach me a lot about myself. And helping me manage my disease helps me have a much more productive life. I plan to live a very long life.
great. Well, thanks for sharing with us.
You're welcome.
We really appreciate it.
I hope something I had said helped.
Yeah. Well, let's eat. This looks wonderful, doesn't it?
Dorsey's story is not unique. Many people go through initial depression and finding out they are diabetic. Through acceptance, finding support, and finally adapting by making changes to diet and exercise, you can take control and live a long and healthy life, even with diabetes. To take a test to see if you are at risk, go to doihaveprediabetes.org/take-the-risk-test.